Hello, it's John, Shopkeep Arty, and today we are going to be having a conversation with Max Panks about an upcoming workshop that we're going to be holding. It's a 2 to 3 hour extravaganza, and we're going to discuss with Max what that includes, what we're going to be covering, all the various things that you can do. And we're going to be offering a bit of an incentive as well for our patrons, so stay tuned. First of all, let's say hello to Max. Max, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. So you're joining us, I guess, from your studio in Ealing, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, West Ealing.
Yeah, perfect. So this workshop, it's taking place on Tuesday, the 10th of October, in a few weeks' time. And we're going to be the reference photo that you sent me and is on the class information page is a photo of Piccadilly Circus with the
Yes.
Union Jack flags and things like that. So why did you pick that reference photo?
Well, I was deciding what to choose, and I thought I wanted to do something with a little bit of a complicated sort of look to it, something that we could simplify, that we could work on simplifying, because that's what watercolor is all about for me. I think it's simplifying something so you can generate a picture of a story with as few brush marks as possible, and that works no better than in a busy city setting.
Definitely. And you describe it actually as one of the things we're going to be covering is painting at speed and capturing the moment, I think is the phrase
Mhm.
that you use. And that is a really great tool to have as an enthusiastic artist. If you can capture a certain moment in time. Obviously, you can't get everything really precise. That moment will have passed. So if you're out plein air sketching or painting or whatever, being able to put something down quickly and capture that moment is a really
Mm.
valuable tool, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, I painted this once before, plein air, and I was standing in the middle of the road on Piccadilly, the road.
The actual road. All right.
Yeah. On one of the first hot days of the year. I think it was around April or something. And I was really pleased. I was like, you're always walking around thinking people are going to watch me paint this. But I was really pleased with how it looked, and I thought, and that might have been actually one of the my favorite things that I've painted this year. So I
Right.
thought
Wow.
this one would be good.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be it's going to be great to kind of go through that process. Now, obviously, our workshops are 2 to 3 hours in length, and I would imagine that you weren't obviously stood in the middle of the road for 2 to 3 hours. So this,
No.
I'm sure the traffic would have been really happy with you. So, are we going to? What are the kind of steps you're going to walk through in this time to teach and educate people on this process?
Well, I'll talk about the materials that I use, the brands I use, and sort of my journey of how I've ended up with my favorite products, I think. Um, and then we'll go into the sketch, and that's kind of the first foundation of sort of the first moment where you can decide to simplify the scene. And that's usually very quick. I mean, the quicker you do the sketch, sort of that's the blueprint for how um, impressionistic the painting will look, I suppose. And then the first wash, where we'll sort of set down the basic lightest color throughout the whole painting, usually starting with the sky and traveling down towards the bottom of the page. I have a little bottle of fine water mist that I can carry on spraying if the weather's hot, which is very useful. Because if it dries halfway through the wash, then you're always going to see that all the way through to the end. And then the next stage would be filling in the darker blocks of color. So the sides of buildings where the sun isn't hitting directly. And that's where sort of the magic begins to take place. That's where you can see the painting come together. Um, and this will include drying time as well. So during the drying time, we can talk about other things.
Well, what I'd like to do at each stage, and you're breaking it down really well, so that's going to be great little compartments of exercises that we're going to do. Obviously, if you're out in the real world doing it yourself, you'd be able to put it all together and it'd be much quicker. But in all these blocks, what we're going to do at the end of each section is you can take a photo of what you've done at home as you're following along with Max, and share it on a link that we'll provide, and then I'll share the screen, and then Max can give his direct feedback at the end of each section, and then we can kind of build on that on all those different bits. So by the end of it, hopefully you'll have something that you feel fairly proud of, but even if you aren't, you will have learned loads of stuff in each one of those sections, and you can then rinse and repeat those processes. And because with practice comes perfection, as they say. So we'll be able to kind of work through that. But that direct feedback is something that we'll have the time to do in a longer workshop rather than in the short class that we enjoyed with Max a few weeks ago. So that sounds brilliant. Now you've got a couple of paintings in front of you, Max, that are on your...
More than a couple, yeah.
Yes. So maybe if you can pull out, it's a bit like a pack of cards, but maybe if you can pick out a few examples that sort of illustrate some of the things that we're going to be covering in the longer workshop, that would be fantastic.
Okay, right. So a lot of these were actually painted plein air. This is Richmond Park. A buddy of mine was doing a journalism course, and he needed something to film, a story to make, so he filmed me painting and he interviewed me, which was fun. But these are all painted with sort of a 3-step process, plein airs as well. This is the RA in the same area, Piccadilly. Quite some time ago now, this one. But I always start with the sky. I travel down the page. These darker blocks will come in later. And things like this came in right at the end. But sometimes if you're expecting to paint something like that at the end, you can sort of leave it free of paint, so the white paper is just showing right through, and then that way you'll have a highlight on it at the end, which is nice. But oftentimes you're painting at such speed that you forget when you paint right over it. I am anyway. This is Ealing Common in the snow in 2020, I think it was. That strange winter we had.
That's nice.
Another Trafalgar Square. Obviously, this is going to take hours to show you every single one. Here's a favourite. 2 favourites. 3 favourites. This is the view looking down to Stratford from Upper Clapton. I just moved onto a house. I think I mentioned last time I lived on a houseboat last year.
Oh, yes, you did, yeah.
This was the first view that I saw after moving onto the boat. It was
lovely.
Very peaceful up there. And the sun was going down as I was setting this, so I couldn't really see what I was doing very well. This was around the October, November time.
You've caught the light on the water really, really well with that dry brush technique.
Yeah, that's
really good.
It's all about. And that's the paper. I mean, you can't get that with certain papers. I use Archer's paper. Saunders Waterford is really good too. That's got a nice rough grain. But if you skimp on paper, then you will pay the price later when you try and use it. But here's another one. Here's a really small sketch for something I did on a massive scale eventually. I did a series of 10 paintings. The series was called An Evening in Soho. This is Romilly Street, just next to Old Compton Street, near the Palace Theatre.
Ah, yes, yes.
Where Harry Potter and the Cursed Child currently is. But there's 10 of these massive paintings all around the Soho area, sort of sunset scenes. I've still got them all. I haven't really shown many. I displayed one once, but they're the biggest things I've ever done.
Wow.
And here's the last of the 3 favourites. I think I might have shown you this one last time, actually.
You might have done, yeah. No, lovely. That's really great. With regards to joining us for this longer workshop, So we obviously held that shorter 1 hour class, and for those of you that were patrons, you got to join the live event as always. But whoever made a small donation after that to say thanks to Max, you get free entry to this live workshop as promised. So you should have had an email about that, and obviously you'll get the link and everything the day before, along with anybody else that wants to join this longer workshop. If you want to join it and you didn't watch that first hour class, I would definitely highly recommend you go and hunt that out. You can find it on our video library on our website, shopkeeparty.com. And just watch Max in action. It's a really nice one. Obviously, this will be a longer thing, and it's more individually tailored to those that are turning up to the workshop. So it's you can get all that direct feedback, which is obviously I spoke about before. And to do that, you can purchase a ticket to watch and join the workshop, and you can purchase the video as well via our website, shopkeeparty.com. And let me go and show you how you can do that now. So you visit Shopkeeparty, and at the top of the page in the menu, you'll see an events. That's our upcoming events. And you scroll down to the appropriate date for Max, which is down here, the 10th of October. And you click on that, and there you can find out there's the reference photos and things like that, and then there's a link to Max's shop, and here you can select whether you want the webinar and video or the webinar only, the live webinar entry, and add it to your basket, checkout, and although it's in pounds, your card issuer will convert it to your local currency after checkout. If you are one of our patrons, you get a big discount on the workshop and video. So if you are one of our patrons at the applicable level, you can click this link, claim here on our events page, and you get 50% discount. So a really huge discount. So take advantage of that. And for those that were generous enough to make a small donation in our shorter class, you have also been sent a link to that 50% off promotion as well. So thank you very much for your support, and as a big thank you, we've given you that promotion that our patrons are getting, so that you can purchase the video if you want. If you don't want to, and you just want to attend the longer workshop for free, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So there we go. That's the intro. If you want to join us on the 10th of October, to get the date right, well done. That would be great. And it should be a really great session. Looking forward to it, Max. And I loved the way you capture the light in your paintings is really good. And to be able to do that in as short a space of time is really a really good skill to try and learn. If it's your first time doing a plein air type of thing, then it may feel a bit uncomfortable, but it's all about the practice, isn't it, Max?
It's all about the practice. I mean, it's not really about the finished product. It's about actually from start to finish of the painting. Once the painting's finished, then it's free. You can just start another one. It's not about the finished painting. It's about painting.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we've had a question from Mary Ann, who's joined us live. She said, would you suggest any sketching in advance, given the speed at which Max works? And I would say, because we've got the time, Mary Ann, probably not. Would you reckon? What do you think, Max?
Well, if you wanted to sort of loosen up a little bit in advance, a really good technique or practice technique is to sit and paint something or draw something without taking your pencil off the paper as fast as you can. That will really force you to be much more free with your lines and your decision making as well. I mean, once you make a decision, just stick to it and then go for it. And it may or may not.
These architectural elements within the reference photo. So let me just the perspective elements within the reference photo that you've got, it's going to be difficult for people to master that initially when they are, if you're just coming to this for the first time. So there's an awful lot, as you can see, going on.
Going on.
photo. The flags. There's a banner in the center there. You've got these big lampposts, but you can take things out, can't you?
Yes. When I painted this the first time, I didn't paint those flags in. I don't know if that was my intention or not, but I wound up having not painted them, and I thought, oh, the flags aren't in it, but that's fine.
Yeah,
they're not there all year round, so.
And you can be confused as if you're coming to this and you're not used to the plein air painting style. There's all these people and cars and traffic moving around, and you can start to think, I want to get some of this energy, this commotion in, but it can lead to complicating the painting overall at the end.
If you want to capture the energy, I would say paint energetically.
Yes, that's
with
good.
Speed.
Yeah. No, that's good. And I wonder also whether at the beginning of the workshop, maybe we could, because I think that's a great little exercise, just not taking your pencil off the page and just going for it. But maybe we just do a few little exercises. Maybe we could even just taking a photo of just some simple blocks that are, and get that perspective. You could try and do that with just some blocks, just to get warmed up in that.
Mm-hmm. One thing we can do is sketch this landscape, the preliminary sketch in pencil, and then actually just shade in the darker areas, and so we can pre-plan where those darker shades will be, as opposed to where the untouched paper will be.
Yes, no, that's good. Yes, so I think that's a good. So Marianne, to come back to answer your question, this is a long way around answering your what you thought was a simple question. I think if you want to pre-sketch up and you're confident about doing that, and I know your level of art, you're really quite accomplished. So if you want to feel more comfortable in the workshop and you want to just sketch out the outlines of those buildings, then more than welcome to do that. However, I think at the start we will do some of these exercises on going around the blocks of the buildings, planning that out. So you could do that with another scrap of paper as well, just to get in the zone, if you've already pre-sketched it out. Or you don't have to, and you can just kind of follow along. We're going to split it into these defined chunks within the time of the workshop. So you will probably have time, and then we'll get the photos as I explained at the beginning, share them on a link that we provide, get some direct feedback from Max, and then move on to the next chunk. So hopefully that'll help. Marianne said, thanks, very helpful. So now, if there are any other questions, you can by all means ask that. Just write it in the Q&A. Avi, I never remember, is it AV or RV, but I think it's AV. AV said, is the discount for workshop and video available for patrons level 1? No, you do have to, the discounts are for patrons level 2 and up. And level 2 is when you can watch all the 1 hour classes on our video library, and there's hundreds of them, but you get free entry into all these live classes as well. So that's for that. But obviously if you made a small donation to Max on his first class, you will have had that link sent to you yesterday on email anyway. So that was sent to you yesterday. Any other questions from anybody, or shall we let Max get back to his studio and whatever he's working on at the moment? By the way, those large ones of Soho that you said you'd done, how big are they, roughly?
Let's think. Well, I've got one. It's wrapped in bubble wrap. You can't see it, but
okay.
You can kind of see it. It's this big.
Oh wow! And how long did that take to do?
A couple of sittings over a couple of days.
Yeah, because something that sort of size, it's going to take.
But this is actually, I just noticed there's a picture of a painting on my thumbnail on the website, and it's this one.
Okay.
I don't know. Remember.
So go and have a look at that. In fact, I'll put an overlay when I'm editing this video to show. Brilliant. Okay, well, hopefully you can join us on the 10th of October. Really looking forward to it on the Tuesday. And yeah, it should be a really good session, and really focusing. I love when a workshop, sometimes it can focus on painting a particular subject matter or whatever, but this is actually focusing on a skill, quick painting, capturing that moment that you might see, and whether you translate that in doing things, probably a sketchbook or something like that. If you've got a sketchbook on you, and we'll talk about, you know, the minimal materials that you need, and if you get that wonderful moment and you just want to capture it on paper so that you can relive it in the future, it's a brilliant skill to have. So I hear. I'm not very good at it myself. Brilliant. Max, thank you so much for your time today. Have a good rest of your day, and thank you very much, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.